In perhaps one of the strangest pairings in gaming history, Japanese publisher Konami would tap British studio Rebellion to develop Never Dead, with Shinta Nojiri of Metal Gear Acid fame serving as director. It was a West meets East mashup, something that's reflected in the final product, with shooting and slashing tinted with a stylized world and the ability to be dismembered and rejoined thanks to immortality. Unfortunately, despite some cool ideas, the execution ends up squandering much of the potential here, with wonky gameplay, repulsive aesthetics, and a litany of bugs squashing much of the fun. Not even Megadeth can save this one. Never Dead's chief gimmick comes from Bryce Boltzmann, a half-millennium-old demon hunter who receives immortality from his last encounter with the Demon King. Now in modern times, Bryce begrudgingly works with partner Arcadia to hunt demons who invade the mortal plane. It is soon discovered that a plan to resurrect old evils is in play, revolving around pop star Nikki Summerfield, and it's up to the heroes to save the day and thwart the demonic plans. The story tries to have its cake and eat it, mixing world-ending dourness with juvenile humour that doesn't really gel. Bryce proves pretty unlikable, with his quips growing tiresome long before you reach the end, and you can likely see every story beat coming.
A man is always cranky in the morning, sweet cheeks. Get used to it.
You're not a man anymore, Bryce. There's no place for your silly human habits. That's why we pay you.
A mix of guns and swords, this action game sees you slicing and shooting through a little under 10 stages, each holding 10 collectibles which reward an XP boost, as well as dozens of smaller XP rewards. It's pretty linear, with players rushed through narrow stages and often unable to backtrack due to blockades, though some side paths can be accessed, with rewards for explorative players. The levels themselves follow the typical swath of locales, from sewers and streets to a museum and police station, but one of the cooler aspects is the high level of destructibility, from smashing walls, explosive barrels, and other scenery which can even crush demons and save you some effort. You can likely slice your way through this one in under 10 hours, but a litany of upgrades encourages you to replay stages for more experience. Experience earned even carries over to the multiplayer mode, with both competitive and cooperative challenges. While basic, they offer more incentive to keep playing. The problems with Never Dead start when you try to play. Simply put, combat feels cumbersome in this game, whether using swords or guns. Shooting uses the typical third-person perspective of the time, but aiming feels loose and weapons lack impact, making for uneasy gunfights. Swordplay is even worse, utilising the right analog stick for inputs. Despite a tutorial telling you to rely carefully on timed inputs, this often results in unresponsiveness, meaning frantic stick swinging is the name of the day, but it doesn't feel natural either way. While you can lock onto enemies in this mode, as well as take advantage of blocking attacks, neither feels all that useful. Then there's the dismemberment gimmick. Bryce's immortality means, rather than traditional health systems, taking damage usually results in a limb flying away. If guns are equipped, you can still fire while dislodged, and missing legs see Bryce crawling on the ground. You can even be reduced to a rolling head. While initially funny, this system doesn't really feel fleshed out to impact the gameplay, meaning it loses its luster quickly. Rebellion, naturally, had to compensate for Bryce's invincibility in other ways, and this is where frustration kicks in. Grandbaby demons are soon introduced, whose main goal is to suck Bryce's head into the pit of their stomach. While a QuickTime event can prevent this, the lack of responsiveness sees you failing more often than not, with inconsistent timing proving a major headache. Spawners are heavily relied on, repeatedly spitting out demons as you kill them, and it turns battles into a real slog. Enemies prove remarkably capable of decapitating Bryce, leading to a sense of downward momentum. Allies also become part of a battle, including Arcadia, and failure to revive them if they're downed also results in a game over. Hard mode amplifies these irritations to the max, and it's further compounded by a lack of polish. Bugs see you falling through the floor and forcing a restart, demon blockages not lifting despite killing enemies, and weak allies dying at the slightest touch. It all adds up to one frustrating mess. Speaking of mess, Neverdead is a pretty ugly game aesthetically. Visually, everything looks rough and flat, with poor lighting, flat textures, and ugly colours painting the world in a decrepit tone. Character models feel ripped from a launch title, rather than a 2012 game, and animate about as well. Performance is also terrible, with severe drops during most encounters causing real input issues. It's a visually repulsive mess. The sound doesn't fare much better, outside of a title track from Megadeth being pretty rad. Voice acting swings from generic to cringe-inducing, the soundtrack is repetitive and uninspired, and the effects mixing is rough, with guns drowned out by demon cries, explosions, and just about anything else. Neverdead would have struggled to cut the mustard in 2007, but by 2012, it looks downright ancient. Neverdead is a cool idea, executed poorly. Despite the powerhouse team-up, a myriad of unrefined mechanics, technical issues, and repulsive moments leave this one dead on arrival. Shooting feels weak, swordplay is even worse, and frustrating level design induces more rage than enjoyment. Even the main selling point, the dismemberment, feels so lightweight that it cannot save the experience. Even on the rare occasions where everything comes together as intended, the headaches caused along the way mean it's not worth the journey. Add in a lackluster narrative and woeful presentation, and it makes this one hard to recommend.